Have you ever asked yourself, why am I not happy even when nothing is going wrong? If so, you're not alone. For years, most people have been taught that happiness is the result of external success, the job, the relationship, the perfect circumstances. But what if that formula is completely backward? What if true, lasting happiness isn't something you find, but something you train? Here's a truth that modern neuroscience confirms: your brain is not fixed. It's a highly adaptable system. And every thought, every emotion, every choice you make is shaping the neural pathways that define your emotional reality. The good news? You can take control of this process. In this video, you'll discover how to reprogram your mind for daily happiness using evidence-based techniques rooted in brain science and the universal principles of manifestation. This isn't about forcing fake positivity. This is about creating lasting emotional alignment from the inside out. We'll explore how to reset your emotional system in just 90 seconds, how to install daily habits that hardwire joy, and how to condition your brain to recognize happiness not as a rare event, but as your new normal. This isn't a motivational speech. It's a practical guide. It's the formula that has helped thousands shift from survival mode into a life of emotional freedom and purpose. If you're tired of waiting for life to make you happy, keep watching. Because happiness isn't a gift the universe randomly delivers, it's a skill you can master. Most people live under a deeply ingrained illusion that happiness is a destination you reach once certain external conditions are met. A better job. A perfect partner. More money. Less stress. When I finally get there, they think, I'll be happy. But what if that entire framework is broken? Modern neuroscience shows us that our brains are not reactive machines responding passively to the world. Instead, they're predictive engines, constantly firing familiar emotional patterns based on previous wiring. This means your daily experience of happiness isn't determined by your circumstances, it's dictated by the default settings in your brain. Think about it, have you ever achieved something big, only to feel underwhelmed days later? That's because happiness triggered by external events is fleeting. Your brain returns to its baseline emotional pattern. It's called emotional setpoint theory, and it explains why people with vastly different life situations often report similar levels of happiness. So where does the law of attraction come in? The law of attraction operates on vibrational alignment. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If your internal state is driven by stress, worry, or lack, that's the frequency you emit. And that's what you continue to pull into your life. But when your dominant emotional state is gratitude, contentment, and joy, regardless of your circumstances, your vibration rises, and the external begins to reflect your internal transformation. That's why happiness cannot be postponed. You can't wait for life to deliver you the right set of conditions. If you do, you're outsourcing your emotional reality to chance. And more importantly, you remain stuck in reaction mode, disconnected from your personal power. Now here's where it gets really fascinating. Your brain has a feature called neuroplasticity, which means it constantly changes based on experience. When you repeatedly focus on certain thoughts and emotions, those circuits grow stronger. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you've spent years worrying, criticizing, doubting, you've built mental highways optimized for suffering. But the reverse is also true. By consistently activating joy, gratitude, presence, and peace, you create new emotional defaults. This is why people who meditate, visualize, or practice daily gratitude often report a total shift in their reality, not because the world changed overnight, but because they rewired their perception of it. And perception is everything. Perception isn't passive, it's an active filter. Your brain processes millions of inputs each day, but only a tiny fraction reaches your conscious awareness. What you notice and give meaning to is largely shaped by your internal state and past conditioning. If your emotional baseline is lack, you'll see more reasons to feel deprived, even when life is offering you more. But if you train yourself to recognize moments of beauty, connection, and appreciation, the world literally starts to look and feel different. It's not magic. It's biology responding to intentional focus. That's why happiness is not a reward, it's a prerequisite. When you prioritize it as a daily practice, you align your emotional frequency with the outcomes you desire. And that's when the law of attraction begins to work in your favor. Let's be clear, we're not talking about denying negative emotions. Life is complex. Pain, disappointment, and loss are real. But what we are saying is this: you can train your brain to return to equilibrium faster. You can build an inner emotional environment that supports clarity, creativity, and conscious manifestation, even in the face of adversity. So, what does this look like in practical terms? It starts with awareness. Begin to notice the moments you say, "I'll be happy when," catch yourself. Replace that narrative with, "I choose to access joy now." Then, create micro-rituals that reinforce this. Take 5 deep breaths with your hand over your heart. List 3 things you appreciate right now. Direct your mind to a moment of beauty in your environment. Each of these rewires your brain away from lack and toward fulfillment. You don't have to feel happy all the time. You just need to feel available to happiness, regardless of what's happening outside of you. And that begins with understanding, happiness is not a destination. It's a decision. A neural choice you make daily. A vibrational set point you train like a muscle. And when you do, you don't just feel better, you start attracting better. One of the most powerful things you can realize about your emotions is this: they are chemical. Every thought triggers a biological response in your body, a shift in your chemistry. Negative thoughts release cortisol and adrenaline, which prepare the body for survival. Positive thoughts, on the other hand, release dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, the chemistry of connection, well-being, and happiness. But here's the part no one tells you: the actual chemical response of any emotion typically lasts no more than 90 seconds. After that, whatever you're still feeling is not due to biology, it's due to mental looping. This is where the 90-second reset becomes a game changer. The concept is simple. When you feel yourself slipping into frustration, anxiety, anger, or overwhelm, pause. Set a timer for 90 seconds. During that time, don't try to fix anything. Don't judge yourself. Don't resist what's coming up. Instead, shift your attention to your body. Observe. Breathe. Where do you feel the emotion physically? Is it a tight chest, clenched jaw, fluttering stomach? Just notice. Label the sensations. Stay present with them. This is emotional processing, not suppression, not avoidance, not overthinking. You're allowing your body to complete the chemical cycle naturally, without feeding the story that would normally extend the emotion into hours or even days. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. You train your brain to distinguish between feeling an emotion and becoming the emotion. And that's the foundation of emotional freedom. Let's go deeper for a moment. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, is designed to detect threat. When activated, it floods your system with stress hormones. But what modern living has done is teach the amygdala to treat every discomfort, a deadline, a message, a memory, as a potential threat. This creates chronic low-level activation, leading to emotional fatigue and reactivity. The 90-second reset is like pressing a neurological pause button. It teaches your brain, this is not an emergency. And with repetition, it begins to recalibrate your emotional baseline, reducing the intensity and frequency of negative emotional spikes. Now let's tie this to manifestation. When you're caught in a reactive emotional state, your frequency drops. You disconnect from intention and shift into survival mode. But when you can interrupt that state, even briefly, you create space for conscious choice. And that space is where vibration is recalibrated. That space is power. Here's how to start applying the 90-second reset right away. 1. Awareness. The moment you notice yourself reacting emotionally, pause. This awareness alone is transformational. 2. Timer. Set it. 90 seconds. Let your body know it's safe to feel. 3. Attention to sensation. Track the emotion in your body, not your thoughts. Bring curiosity, not control. 4. Breath. Use deep, slow breaths to ground your attention. 5. Allow release. Often, by the end of the 90 seconds, the emotional charge has dropped by more than half. You may not feel happy right away, but what you will feel is space. And from that space, you regain authorship over your experience. This is what separates people who live at the mercy of emotion from those who co-create their emotional reality. Over time, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. You stop fearing negative emotions. You stop resisting discomfort. And in doing so, you stop reinforcing the very patterns that kept you stuck. Instead of saying, "Why do I always feel this way?" you start saying, "What is this emotion trying to show me right now?" That shift, from judgment to curiosity, is the beginning of self-mastery. Emotion becomes information. Reaction becomes reflection. And the space between stimulus and response becomes your personal power zone. The 90-second reset isn't a trick. It's a tool. One that's backed by science and strengthened through repetition. One that brings you back into alignment when life tries to pull you out of it. So the next time you feel yourself spiraling, stop. Breathe. Feel. Observe. And let your body do what it was designed to do: process, release, restore. Because emotional mastery doesn't mean never feeling bad, it means never being ruled by it. And that's exactly what allows your vibration to rise and stay consistent, no matter what's happening around you. Happiness is not the result of a lucky streak, nor is it a random emotional state that appears when life finally gets easier. It's a system, a structure you can create, repeat, and reinforce. Your brain responds to patterns. It adapts to what you feed it. And when you intentionally create a pattern of joy, connection, and energetic balance, your brain begins to make happiness your default state. One of the most effective ways to begin this reconditioning process is through what we call the Happiness Triad, a practical framework composed of 3 simple yet powerful daily practices. These practices work together to rewire your emotional baseline and expand your capacity for joy in a sustainable, scientifically grounded way. The first element is how you start your day. Most people, without realizing it, activate their stress circuitry within moments of waking up. They reach for their phone, check emails, dive into notifications, and in doing so, condition their brain to respond to the world in survival mode. But if the first 20 minutes of your day are spent in intentional joy, you train your emotional system to lead with calm, clarity, and expansion. This might include silent breathing, a short gratitude reflection, or simply imagining the kind of emotional state you want to embody during the day ahead. These micro-rituals don't take long, but they set the neurological tone for everything that follows. Over time, this repeated intention creates new neural pathways that make it easier for your brain to access states of peace and appreciation. Next comes the way you manage your energy. Happiness, at its core, is closely linked to the availability of energy. When you're depleted, even the smallest challenge feels overwhelming. But when you keep your internal battery charged, your ability to respond with grace and presence increases. The problem is that many people only think about restoring their energy when it's already too late. They wait until exhaustion or burnout forces them to pause. But by integrating short, strategic breaks throughout your day, moments of deep breathing, quick stretching, stepping into sunlight, or observing something beautiful, you're not just resting your body, you're resetting your nervous system. These small acts may seem trivial, but neurologically, they function as recalibrations. They prevent emotional overload and increase your brain's capacity to stay balanced under pressure. The third piece of the triad is often overlooked, yet it's where the deepest transformation happens: connection. Not just with people, although that matters, but connection with your surroundings, your actions, your breath, the present moment itself. In a world that conditions us to move fast and numb out, rediscovering presence becomes a revolutionary act. When you slow down enough to really notice your environment, the way light hits a wall, the rhythm of your own breathing, the scent of the air, you're training your mind to engage with life from a place of awareness rather than autopilot. This shift builds emotional intelligence and enhances your sensitivity to joy in subtle forms. And more than that, it shifts your vibrational output from noise to resonance. You stop reacting and start responding. What's powerful about this triad isn't just each part on its own, it's the synergy between them. Morning programming sets the emotional tone, energy management protects that tone throughout the day, and connection amplifies it by grounding it in the now. Together, they create a system that gradually overrides old mental programs rooted in fear, doubt, and scarcity. And because the brain thrives on repetition, every time you repeat the triad, you're reinforcing the new emotional architecture you're building. People often ask, how long until I feel different? The answer varies, but here's what neuroscience shows: change doesn't happen by intensity, it happens by consistency. You may not notice transformation after one day, but give it a week, then a month. Your thoughts begin to shift. Your body feels lighter. You stop needing external validation to feel good. And then something remarkable occurs: life starts meeting you at your new frequency. This isn't wishful thinking, it's biological alignment. When you intentionally activate joy, manage your energy, and deepen your connection with the moment, you aren't just changing how you feel, you're changing how you function. And in that shift, happiness is no longer something you chase. It becomes the place you live from. Happiness isn't something the world gives you. It's something your brain learns to recognize, and your mind chooses to sustain. Over the course of this video, we've uncovered truths that science confirms and wisdom traditions have echoed for centuries. Your emotional state is not random. It's trainable. And by understanding the mechanics behind how your brain responds to thought, emotion, and focus, you take back authorship over your experience of life. The idea that happiness is reserved for the lucky, the wealthy, or the enlightened is outdated. What truly matters is consistency, not perfection. The 90-second reset gives you space to interrupt emotional patterns. The triad teaches your nervous system to stabilize joy through rhythm and intention. And the recognition that happiness is not a destination, but a way of relating to your inner world, dissolves the illusion that you need more to feel better. As you begin to apply these principles, don't aim for immediate transformation. Aim for presence. Aim for one moment of clarity, one pause before reaction, one breath of appreciation. These are the building blocks of the emotional reality you are stepping into. Your brain doesn't change because you want it to, it changes because you train it. So train it well. With compassion. With repetition. With curiosity. And then ask yourself honestly, what would shift in your life if happiness was no longer a pursuit, but a baseline? That answer is already within you. Now is the time to explore it. If this content spoke to you, subscribe and stay with us on this journey. Because this isn't the end, it's the beginning of a new emotional reality, built from the inside out.